as much as we use the word freedom for you, that is safety.
Mm-hmm.
Safety is, I can be here too, and my feelings can be here too, and my perspective can be here too. I'm not just being confronted. And women, I get it. Sometimes they need to be confronted. I hear you. But if we take a confrontational approach, we are no different than all the men that have tried to confront our partners in their whole life, because that is the experience of boys and men.
Welcome to Understand Your Man. I'm Nathan Joblin, co-founder of Modern Wisdom Press and author of the book Trapped, The Responsible Man's Guide to Personal Freedom and Happiness.
And I'm Natasha Pereira, a psychotherapist with 20 years in the field, working firsthand with men who are trying to show up for their partners and families. I bring the perspective that we as women need to heal and ground ourselves in our own energy so that we make space that invites our partners forward to connect to us in the intimacy and safety that we crave, that we deserve.
This podcast aims to build a bridge between men and their female partners by offering an understanding of why your man may not be showing up in the way you know he's capable of. Hey, Natasha. How's it going?
I'm fine, because today we're going to talk about safety for men, which is kind of put you on the hot seat a little bit. How are you?
Oh, I thought it was going to be about both of us. No, it's okay. That's all right. That's all right. I can endure.
Well, the enduring, that's what we're going to talk about. Because
I let it slip. I let it slip already. Oh, no.
Ladies, it's important to know that generally speaking, when we are coming into our relationship to talk about feeling emotionally safe, men are often enduring the conversation, not really understanding what we're asking for. I'm just checking, Nathan. Does that feel about right?
Oh, my God. So I'm enduring the conversation about enduring the conversation.
So
right.
We are going to talk today about how to create a container to make you feel more safe in conversations that women really are trying to have with their partners, because we have the same goal. You want to feel safe and heard in your loving relationship, and we want to feel safe and heard in our loving relationship. And how can we do that so you don't walk in right away going, I need to endure this or fix this? Does that make sense to you?
It does. And if it's helpful, the most immediate thing that's coming to my mind now, and this is just, my programming, is not feeling as if there's a problem to solve in whatever way we can do that, because then I'm off to the races, strategizing and not really being fully there.
Yes, because your mind is searching for, what does she want? What does she need? What am I not doing? What do I need to do?
Yeah.
And that, unfortunately, already sets us up for missing each other. Because we want to feel that you're present in the conversation, because what we're really looking for is connection. And our men are looking for a problem to solve, and we don't start with the problem to solve.
Yeah.
So we've already lost you in the beginning of the conversation. Does that feel about right for you?
Yeah, it does. I can see, the meeting spot, is both building teamwork, right? And I think that the baked into that is mutual presence. Hopefully we're not just delegating and going off in our own corners. We're trying to work through something together. And so I can feel the partnership, and then also a positive outcome in terms of, a solution that's like the carrot, like not only working on the issue, but moving through it.
And that's the big piece. I'm reminded of a Maroon 5 song. And unfortunately, I don't remember specifically which one it is. Oh, Lord, women, do not start with this with your partner. But the lead singer says, we stayed up all night trying to make it right. And right away, when my partner heard that, he was like, thank you for not making me stay up all night to try to make things right. And in my body, I'm like, I would love nothing more than to sit up for hours and hours talking about my feelings and my needs and your vulnerability. I will do that with my girlfriends. I understand that when I am speaking to my partner, that I need to make it a safe environment where not only my needs for connection and being heard are met, but his capacity and ability matches the need for the conversation. So if you don't have a partner that wants to stay up all night talking about his feelings, having that expectation is probably not going to be advantageous for you. Doesn't mean he doesn't love you. It just means your way of communicating might not match his. Does that make sense when I say it that way?
Yes. Yeah. We haven't found the middle ground.
Yeah. What would you say, generally speaking, from your experience working with men and your own personal experience, as far as what is a good window of time as far as discussing feelings? Just throwing it out there. What feels about right for you?
Well, one thing is not time but place, and being outside and walking. Not being sitting across from one another in chairs. This feels a little bit formal, and so I think giving my body something to do is a great way to kind of turn down the heat a little bit if that's a challenge, or even just to calm myself. And then time of day, I mean, gosh, that's so tricky. I would say in the morning, right? But then if it doesn't go well, then that's a challenge, in the day. And then the evening, maybe it needs to be the evening when there are fewer distractions. But you're asking me in terms of my own physiology or emotional state. What's the best time?
But I'm bringing that up about your own physiology for a very important reason. Okay. Men are very much in their bodies in a different way than women. This is all neurobiological, evolutionary psychology. And in several of these episodes that we do, I might repeat a lot of the same concepts because repetition is hypnosis. The more we hear it, the more we deeply understand it and integrate it.
Thank you.
Men really want to feel comfortable in their bodies. And I brought up Dr. Peter Levine's work about immobilization. Women are very sensitive to immobilization as far as our own physical safety, and men are equally as sensitive to immobilization for their own safety. If I don't feel like my body can move, if I feel trapped while I'm having an uncomfortable, unpleasant, difficult experience, automatically I'm not in the room. I'm not present because my body's on guard. And women are very sensitive creatures, not that men isn't. But how many times have you seen in TV shows or movies where men are listening and doing this, and you hear the woman go, "You're not listening to me. I don't feel you. I don't feel like you care." And he's like, "I'm right here. I'm listening to you." Mm-mm. We can feel whether or not you're there. And unfortunately, we make meaning of it. We go, "I don't matter. I'm not important. You don't love me." We make personal meaning. It's actually that the man does not feel comfortable being confronted, which is not what we're doing, but is how they feel. Men are conditioned to posture when they're being confronted. Does that make sense when I say it that way?
Yes.
So if you can walk around, the body feels like you can move. And it is really helpful, ladies, if we allow our men to either choose a walk, or if they want to drive. I know some men don't like being trapped in a car, where others like being able to focus on the road and have something to do while we're talking. That particularly works well with teenagers. But for some men, it doesn't. So my point is, know your man in that way. I love how you brought up the morning maybe, or the evening. What you're really bringing up is discernment. Mm-hmm. We need to use discernment about specifically what makes our partner feel safe as far as time of day, whether or not you're just coming home from work. Would you rather be able to go for a walk? We really want to set up the actual environmental conditions so that we can hear each other. I know these things don't sound important, but they really are.
No, I hear that. And I think that in terms of discernment, for either party in a conversation, if one of the partners approaches the other and wants to talk about something, but it doesn't feel we're discerning it's not the right time, then speaking up instead of just barreling through, it's easier said than done. However, if we do have that ability to say, "I can't do it right now," we also, I've learned, need to set a concrete follow-up time. It's because we're not just pushing off or pushing away. We're saying, "I can meet you in a few hours after I've done this, I can be there.
That's really important. And we are going to talk about attachment styles at some point. But generally speaking, what we attract, if we have an anxious, ambivalent attachment style, we generally choose avoidant partners, either avoidant dismissive or avoidant fearful. And we'll talk about that another time. But the anxious ambivalent is the one that's like, I'll talk for hours and at any time. And here I am. And let's work through this. I know that style well. Our avoidant partners, that right away sets it up of I need to endure. And so if the avoidant partner needs to be respected as far as they need to feel safe enough in their body so that they don't avoid, it is equally important that they honor the anxious partner that needs a time. Okay, no problem, babe. Can you give me a time that feels best for you so that the anxious partner's system can settle too? We need to take care of each other. And traditionally speaking, and I'm going to speak to the women just because we tend to have an anxious style. Traditionally speaking, when it comes to therapy, we haven't honored the anxious partner because we've been so focused on getting the avoidant partner to open up that we tend to neglect and ignore the anxious partner that's really in distress too. So let's help each other with picking a time.
And I can even sense, perhaps through my own perspective, that as the avoidant partner, that even just that ability, knowing that we can set a different time, like doing that a couple of times, getting that muscle memory, can help reduce the feeling of being engulfed initially, because it's like I can manage this situation with my partner. I don't have to just give in. If I need to do something differently, I can. But even just knowing that I have options can help soften me.
Because options equal safety. Right? In the same way, our partners don't want to feel confronted. We don't want to feel handcuffed, or we don't want to feel confronted. We don't want them to feel handcuffed. And those options are really important because the truth of it is we're working through our attachment wounds from childhood. There's just no getting past it.
And I love this because when you're talking about options equals safety, right? In my mind, I've always felt that options equal freedom, and so there is a good amount of overlap. But in terms of my own personal language, I think maybe this will be helpful with the conversation. I don't tend to think in terms of safety. I don't have that, at least in the past. It's very true. I don't have that framework.
Because men generally don't. Women are focused on our safety. Men are focused on their freedom. Mm-hmm. And freedom equals safety for men. And this word containment equals safety for women. Containment to women means, do you have my back? Do my feelings matter? Do my fears matter? Do my values matter to you? And men, safety and freedom means all of me can be here. I don't need to show up in a specific way that's responsible. So we're actually asking for the same thing. We use different language. For women, when we hear freedom, you don't want to be in a relationship because remember, we're looking for containment. Mm-hmm. Right.
I have this image now also of the containment, the women are thinking is a vessel, is a rounded vessel, and the image I had for the guy is like, I don't want to be cornered. And there are no corners. There are no corners in that vessel if we can meet in there,
And when we say containment, we have to be careful because it's unfortunately been conflated in sort of a lot of modern gender politics around being controlled. Women are not asking to be controlled. We're asking to be contained. And when you said rounded, it's like, think of a hug. Women want to be hugged and held, and I've got you. And men want the freedom to be able to come in and hold you. We really are looking for the same things, different ways, different language.
I see that. That's nice.
Yes. So the discernment of knowing that what's going to work for both of us, so we both feel safe, free, and have options, really important. And that's simple stuff. Time, place, and how we approach the conversation. I do think that we should teach this in schools We do not, which is why it might seem strange that in our sort of older years and in relationships, we're trying to work out the basics, but we are.
Mhm.
These are tangible things that will lead to more successful outcomes for you and your partner.
And are you what you described that they should teach in school? Is it communication styles? Is that what you're saying should be
How
taught, or what
how,
should be taught?
how to relate to each other from a
Uh-huh.
neurobiological evolutionary way. It is
I
not a
see.
one size fits all. And as much as we're talking about, men and women and different conditioning, that's somewhat universal. I
Mhm.
love that you pointed out that you actually have more of an anxious leaning and attracted an avoidant partner, right? So it's not a cookie cutter. It's understanding the universal concepts and how they apply to us individually.
Mhm.
So if you're an avoidant woman listening to this and you have more of an anxious leaning attached style men, pay attention that he's actually looking for connection and to feel you. And how can you choose a time and a place and a setting in which you can actually be present for him? This is all about self responsibility in order to invite our partners in for, like we said, the safety and connection and the love and the joy that we want.
And also just mutual respect, which should be obvious, but maybe not. Like I think that because I care about my partner so much, I automatically assume that the respect is there. But it really actually needs to perhaps be a bit more intentional and stated.
When you say intentional and stated, it also means that we're fully present with our prefrontal cortex.
Right.
When we can,
Because in order to feel that, my partner needs to feel heard, and she knows if I'm in the room
yes.
or not.
But also, more importantly, that we're capable of doing it. So, yes, we love our partners and yes, we respect our partners. But let me tell you, if I'm triggered, I forget all that respect and love because
Mhm.
I'm in that fight or flight, my young, unmet developmental needs. So I can say, hey, babe, what time is good for you for us to meet? Let me know. You want to take a walk? You want to be in the car? Is the morning good for you? There's no love or respect in my voice, even though I'm saying all the right things.
Yeah.
And this neuroscience piece is important. If you are triggered, if you are activated, if you are particularly pissed off or hurt at your partner at that time, it takes at least 28 minutes for your nervous system to come back online. For a really big blowout or a serious problem, or if you have specific really intense developmental trauma, it can take you up to 3 days for your nervous system to reset. I like to call that the resurrection.
Yeah.
I can't have this talk for at least 3 days. I communicate that to my partner because I need to make sure, like you said, my respect, remembering that I love this person needs to be in the room. And it's not half an hour for at least half an hour after there's been a rupture. And you notice, Nathan, that we haven't even talked about what happened? Like, we haven't even talked about the issue. We're just setting the scene for a successful outcome. And I would say this is important. If you're listening to something like this, it's because you and your partner have tried 7 ways from Sunday to solve a problem and it's not working. It's not necessarily that your content's an issue. It's the context and the environment we need to set up so that we actually can move towards a solution.
I just, based on my own experience and things I've learned and things I paid attention to, I just know that when things are framed to me as a conversation, like initially, like we need to talk versus let's talk, you know, uh, whereas an invitation for a mutual conversation, even if it's something hard around, something I might have done, it still lets me in the door more comfortably. And so I just know that even, as we approach these conversations, the language, the inclusive nature, no, the avoiding finger pointing and understanding that two people are having two experiences and they're both valid. Knowing that softness is there between both parties really feels good and helps me more than anything else, stay present.
Yes. And as much as we use the word freedom for you, that is safety.
Mm-hmm.
Safety is, I can be here too. and my feelings can be here too. And my perspective can be here too. I'm not just being confronted. And women, I get it. Sometimes they need to be confronted. I hear you. But if we take a confrontational approach, we are no different than all the men that have tried to confront our partners in their whole life, because that is the experience of boys and men. It is about them confronting their peers, their teachers, their bosses, their dads. It's a confrontation. They're not invited into conversation. So if we can be that landing place where we can invite them in, then we get the softness of them. We get all of that love that is trapped in them, that is waiting to be expressed when we invite it in a way that makes them feel safe and, importantly, honors our need for connection.
Yeah.
So this is a win-win.
It is. And there is literally a starting point in terms of the concept of safety, because I haven't traditionally been aware of the concept of safety outside of just practical matters, being in a car. Like, that's the framing of safety I've heard my entire life. The emotional safety, or those aren't words that I've heard put together, or if they have, it seems, more like the other.
Fair. And I would say I would not recommend teaching this language to your partner off the hop. It's not helpful. Mm-hmm. It's not helpful to be like, sweetheart, what time works for you? I want to make sure you feel emotionally safe. It's patronizing and condescending. It's not a language they know. We'll get there. Right now, we just want to open up a conversation so that there's more love in the room.
Right. Yeah. Emotional and safety are two big words alone, and then put in combinations even more. Yeah. Yeah.
We started this by saying I call my girlfriends for that kind of talk.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, yes. And this all feels good. And then just I'm going to repeat it because I think it's so important for me. It's just approaching the conversation with we, I think that I try, and not successfully necessarily, but try not to use the word you at all.
That is a whole show in and of itself.
But I try not to use that, but, and you are good things, that exercises I have. But in terms of entering a conversation, it's making we statements like, let's accomplish something here so we can be, move through this and feel good. Give encouragement, give that carrot instead of the stick.
I think we've covered a lot of really good stuff here. And I'm curious to see how you, listening audience, fares with just setting up those few concrete, tangible options to invite in a conversation. And Nathan, I think starting next time with using we, not I, using and, not but, and setting a frame are good places to dive in next time.
Awesome. Thank you.
Always good to be with you.
And that's the show. We'll be back next week with new insight and clarity in building a bridge of understanding between men and women in partnership, leading to the deeper connections we all seek. In the meantime, please subscribe to Understand Your Man wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you found any of this inspiring or helpful, please leave us 5 stars and a positive review. Remember, sharing your opinion as a listener is the best way for others to find us and, hopefully, begin to engage the tips and practical guidance offered here in their own lives in new and exciting ways. If you would like to send us a question or suggest a topic for discussion, feel free to reach out via email at understandyourmanpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you.